But just to come to the end of the episode, because times fly, we didn't even have a break
Devseccortes
of our voices. Now we had a bit of the break. Greg, one of last question, so we can already address to the end and say thank you and so on. In the whole process of backing up and restoring, and Benur mentioned like timing for encryption. That I assume that this kind of solutions and this kind of strategy, of course, it's kind of optional. Okay, I want to encrypt my data, or I don't want to encrypt my data, or what kind of data and so on. Also because of timing, you need to restore something as quick as possible, and if you take 2 days just to decrypt something, it might not be feasible. And pricing, because I already need to pay for my hot data. I don't know, I pay 10 for my hot data, and then I need to pay double to store the backups if I want to back up everything. It's more or less like this, or no, I can compress my information, I can zip everything, let's say, and of course it's less size, so of course it's cheaper. Just in summary, how is this process? Is there everything there, or copy and paste?
Sure. So, while making the backup, there are a couple different methods to optimize this storage usage. The first one is obviously compression of the data, which is always helpful. Another one, which is extremely, I would say, smart, is running something called incremental backup. And this is actually the great practice for DevOps organizations. Incremental backup is when we back up only the things that have been added or modified since the last backup we've made. Meaning that every day we're just taking a small chunk of data that actually changed, and we store only that. And obviously we're going to think that, okay, if I'm about to run backups on my own, how am I supposed to do this? And this is when we touch to the point when, sometimes it's not always good to try to reinvent the wheel at the whatever cost. It's sometimes good to reach out to the company which is already specialized in backup technologies and trust them, because they have those things already figured out. Like, for example, incremental backups. Or another thing which is also popular is deduplication. When we are cutting the data into very, very small chunks, and then if the chunk is something that is repeatable between different backups we make, we are not saving this chunk multiple times, we are only saving it once. That's deduplication explained in very simple words. So there are ways to optimize it, but here we come to the point when if you want to make backup by yourself at all cost, it will probably end up costing you more rather than if you employ third-party solution dedicated for backup, because it's not only about automating the task that you're doing, it's also about bringing efficiency into it. Efficiency in backup duration, efficiency in copy size, efficiency in way to store the copy. And also in many cases, efficiency in how to protect the data afterwards. Because, for example, if you would make backup, probably you would just download it into zip file. You would encrypt that zip file with encryption key. Fingers crossed you put that encryption key somewhere safe, and that's it. But there are better ways to protect data, for example, from malicious actors, like, for example, chunking the data. So cutting them in a way that they are non-readable, non-executable, meaning that even if malicious actor would lay their hands on your backup, they are still not able to do anything with it. So I think that to answer your question, there are ways to do it, multiple different. The question is whether you want to figure it out yourself, or maybe ask around for company or specialist that already knows how to do it.
Awesome. It's a topic that we rarely talk, backing up in this kind. I mean, we talk, but not on this level. That's why this episode is data protection in another level, right? So it's an amazing thing. I have one just last example, and then you can make your comments and then we can close. I remember when I was maybe my second job as developer, I was doing some coding as usual, and I deleted some data in production, as who never did, right? So I deleted some data in production, and it was a company in Brazil that were basically creating the driver license document. So it was something very critical. and I deleted data in production, not the whole database and so on, but I deleted some data that shouldn't delete. But the company, they didn't have even backups. They had kind of mirroring. So it was live backing up, like basically like this, right? So you have the hot data and the same data in somewhere else. So basically, we lost the information for 5 minutes, and then we were able to restore already and have the data there. So one thing is to back up things from the day before. Another thing is that you have mirroring and your live information duplicated already somewhere else. Of course, depends on the criticality of the business and so on and so forth. Yeah? But even this kind of discussions people should have in mind, of course, according to their business. Yeah? We're not this thing that we're discussing here, for example. I mean, backups and this good practice for everybody. Yeah? But maybe small companies, very small companies, they don't have even budget for this or storage or strategies. But of course, companies like Greg mentioned, and the one that he's working, they have also
Oi,
strategy
gostou desse
and
corte?
business model
Então
to
te
allow
aconselho a
everybody
seguir
to
o
have this
perfil
kind of thing.
que tem muito mais
Have
conteúdo e também te
accessibility.
convido a continuar o
So that
episódio
was
completo na
just my
íntegra.
last example.